Now this is making me depressed. All right, this is supposed to be my hype up music.
Danny, you're sick of me saying this. Real Big Fish in the 90s said it best that when they said the radio plays what they want you to hear. And still in 2025, we are all listening to the artists and bands that are being paid, that the radios are being paid the most amount of money to put on their stations. Right. Or it goes a little bit higher than that, obviously. But like Sabrina Carpenter, like she has a fucking phenomenal like budget for what she does. Right. And that is why she is everywhere. Taylor Swift, again, they're not bad artists. I think both artists have got a right and have got a place, but they're pushed because of the budget they have behind them, the labels they have behind them.
To the point that other artists don't even want to enter the charts around that time because they know there's
you can't compete.
Yeah. Was it Taylor Swift had like in the UK and in the US she had Billboard top 10 on all of her albums when she re-released them. Like all in one go. Like the Billboard top 10 was literally like Taylor Swift, all the way. And it was the same in the UK. And like, there's, I love her dearly for getting her music back. And she's absolutely, she's kick ass. But it's like, as an independent artist, you may as well, like you're bringing a knife to a gunfight at that point, you know?
You can't, you can't compete.
Not at that.
You can't compete. But people do, people get tired of it. Like even Beyonce, there was a point in time where Beyonce couldn't be touched. Now people are kind of like, okay. And I think a lot of it has to do with like, economies and stuff too. When people are like, I can't relate to you anymore. I can't buy.
I can't pay my rent. I can't buy food.
And here you are, flaunting this and that, and you're coming up with this and then people get judgmental. They're like, the audacity of you to put out a subpar album. It's like, well, if you go back.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, she but she also with the whole country stuff, like she's not a country artist. And I think that it felt to a lot of people that it wasn't organic, and country has to be organic. You can't fake country. You just can't do it. No. Like one of my favorite country artists is Zach Bryan. And if you listen to Zach, just everything that he releases, like Pink Skies is a great example. There is no hiding that emotion. I know people that won't listen to that song because it hits home it's too close to home for them,
Oh yeah, there are gang songs I can't listen to.
Exactly. And that's that raw emotion that they're able to bring. Beyonce saying, this ain't Texas, it's not a hoedown or whatever it is. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel
it didn't feel like super authentic.
I don't know if you guys might not know this, but Danny, you might. She was literally giving away tickets to her UK dates on this tour because she couldn't sell it out. Like giving them away.
Yeah.
I think Katy Perry ran into that same problem recently too.
Huh? A lot of people have. A lot of artists have. One, their tickets are too expensive. They've got these crazy shows. Everybody saved up for the past 3 years for Taylor Swift. Okay, they're out. They can't pay their rents now for the next 6 months.
Worth it. Worth it.
Shout out Caitlin Rose really quickly, is someone we work with, who actually flew to the UK because it was cheaper to get a flight and see Taylor Swift in London than it was to see her in America.
I believe it.
I
believe it. They're doing that.
Awesome.
They're doing that with a lot of films. Like a lot of the thing in LA right now is
free film.
Nothing is shooting in LA now because it's too expensive. It's cheaper to take your LA crew and fly them somewhere else and film than it is to film here.
Yeah.
And I think
crazy.
I think you guys are absolutely right. I think, art in whether it's in a visual medium or it's music or whatever the case may be, art is supposed to exist because I think as humans, we all feel like we're walking around in this infinite nothingness and we're screaming into the dark, hoping that someone screams back, but oftentimes when the world around us is so commercialized and like, if you're struggling financially or you're not at one of those top tier lifestyles where, you just don't even think about money. If you're not in that small percentage, you feel like you're walking around in this abyss. But every now and then an artist or a film or whatever will come around that kind of yells back, that's like, hey, I'm out here too. I hear you. And when all those people are pushed out, well, then you're left alone in that darkness, right? But now I think the culture and the zeitgeist, whatever you want to call it, the general population are sick to a degree, like they're spiritually and emotionally sick, and showcasing these new artists that are coming from the trenches like them, who created art because there was something inside them. They had words in their heart that they had to sing or scream, or they had a vision in their head that they just had to put out there so someone else could see it, but it's all coming from a real place. And then some anybody from BFE nowhere can see that and be like, oh fuck, I'm not alone. I feel more grounded in this space. I feel like I have a friend, even if I never met him. And now I think you're seeing a time where people push back against these established artists with more power than God, pushing out those independent artists. In fact, they're taking the side of the independent artists because they recognize them as like, oh, you're me and I'm you, and that's who I want to get behind, and that makes me feel something.
Well, you're seeing like an ups, like a more mainstream like resurgence of like of punk, of country music, where it wasn't that for a long time. It was all like money and
country
like
music
that.
is probably the best storytelling,
but musical
medium.
Oh, for
you know
sure.
what I mean?
Well, especially because they're like it's more relatable.
It's the sitting around a campfire with an acoustic guitar telling, singing your woes and telling a story, and people can relate to that, whether it's happy or sad, I guess. But a lot of the get money, and dance your ass off.
It's fun, but like when nobody
that's
has
everything.
money and nobody has money to go to the club, they're like, all right, I can't. This is making me depressed. All right, this is supposed to be my hype up music.
Yeah.
Exactly. But this is the other thing as well, like with pop and like kind of club music and stuff like that, it doesn't feel timeless. Like, when you go back to go back to 2008, for instance, and you mentioned Katy Perry, and you think about like Firework or something like that. Came in like, a Firework or what. I nearly went into Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus then, I think, at the same time.
That was good.
I think
we call that a mashup.
I think that's the same song, right? Yeah. What key is it in?
It might be.
Firework. And then it's a...
I can't even you're right. It's the same song.
There we go. Don't ever launch a firework whilst on a Wrecking Ball is probably the best advice I've got for anybody. But
that's good.
When you think of those songs now and you think about them in 2025, you wouldn't listen to them in a serious manner anymore. They kind of have that cheese feel, And I feel like pop always will have that. And at some point, this kind of like sex sells side of pop that we're getting with like Sabrina Carpenter and people like that at the moment, it will have, I personally believe, within the mainstream media, it will have it's like a ticking time bomb. It will eventually become uncool and unpopular, I guess is probably the word, and then it will be seen as a bit cheesy and a little bit cringe. Whereas with like rock, country, even hip hop and stuff, like it feels timeless. Like you can go back and listen to Tupac now and it still feels relevant. You can go back and listen to, Hotel California by the Eagles and it still feels relevant. You can listen to like Garth Brooks, it still feels relevant. It's like, it's crazy how every other genre seems to feel a little bit more relevant than what's charting. And I find that really bizarre. Like the chart.
I think it's because of the very nature. It's also like a mentality thing. Like pop, you think, right, well, that's what's popular right now. So it's almost like subconsciously burnt into you that, okay, it's popular now. It's not going to be popular in like a few months' time, a year, whatever. Whereas with the other genres, we don't kind of start off with that, I guess, same bias.
Yeah.
No, you're like, actually, when I was signed, I was doing more pop music. And it was and I was on the East Coast. My label reps were on the West Coast. And back then, it's not so much anymore. Things would pop off on the West Coast 3 months before you would hear them on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
We were more dictated by radio. And man, every time I would like come up with these records that I thought were great, and you go back and they're still great songs, right? But the labels didn't want to put them out, and they would be like, "This song is really popular right now. Make this."
Right.
And I would be like, and it would be something like LMFAO, which where are they? Where are they? Like, ask it like it's someone now.
They stopped party rocking, so it ended.
Right?
That's
I was like,
it was party rocking in the house tonight, not every night. We schedule our party rocking.
Not tomorrow.
The album was literally called. The album was called "Don't Stop Party Rocking," wasn't it? And then they stopped, and now they're gone. So LMFAO, they need to party rock.
Bring back LMFAO. Take your own advice, LMFAO.
Yeah,
they had to GTFO. You know what I mean?
It was frustrating though, because it would always be like that. They would be like, go, make this, and I'm like, but that's already been made. It's already popular. Like in a couple of months, it's going to be something different. And it's like, oh, okay, well, wait until that happens. And it was like, At what point, when do you get to make the trend then? Like what
Yeah.
When do you get to be an artist?
Yeah, like when do you get to, it was so frustrating. God.
A lot
think you
of
see it,
big
you see it,
artists
you
as
see-
well, though. Oh, go on. Sorry, Tyler. Go on.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just to say, like, you see that happening. You saw it kind of in the 80s and then the pushback into the 90s. You got the, in the 80s, it's all, again, the sex sells and the big hair and, the stiletto heels and the Motley Crue and all that kind of stuff. And then you saw the 90s pop off and things like Nirvana and Rage Against the Machine and this, it wasn't about being sexy. It was about being honest and dirty and gritty. And I think that's kind of where we're moving now. And so the fact that you guys are creating such a powerful platform for not only to showcase those artists, but also from an artist perspective, like I kind of said earlier, just getting to see that someone gives a shit, like you guys, or even in the chat when their music's playing, oh, people are really digging this. And these are people whose opinions actually matter to me. That gives the artist like the fuel to keep going and to have hope. You guys are giving hope to this generation of artists,
And that's what that's why we love it. Like, we really do. It's an endorphin. This is the selfishest thing what you'll ever hear us say, but we like it because it gets us really excited and it is really good. But I feel like it's one of those selfish, like, we do it for that endorphin. It's good because we can pass that out into the world as well. It's like, yes, we're gaining from that, but we're gaining from someone else's gain because
connecting people is like
cool opportunity.
The best way I could put it is like the best form of drug ever. It's literally, and and hopefully in the long run it's doing some good. It's potentially, I hate to use the cringy term changing people's lives, but that is what we're trying to do when we can form some of these connections and put people in touch with the right kind of organizations or the right labels. Like, hopefully our hope is that it can do that for them.
And it's also coming from two guys who are also artists. Our whole kind of slogan with Ever Forward has always been, by artists for artists, and it's not to say that is gonna, kick out anyone who's not in that category, all be welcome here. But it's nice to feel like you're a part of a community again, because I think for a long time it's been this case of there's only so many spots and it's feast or famine. And it's like, I can't support my fellow artists because what if they make it and I don't? And it's the wrong mentality, I think, to have.
I love seeing people that like you worked with, back when it was like, man, we're getting like paid $300 for this gig real quick. And then all of a sudden
for rich.
Yeah, and you're like, you're doing some like stupid commercial with a dog that's getting paid more than you.
Yeah.
You see them later and you're like, oh man, you see them in a national or you see them on a TV show and you're like, freaking get it. Like, go get, like, that's awesome. I love that.
Yep.
It's awesome, and I think it breathes life into the artistic community at a time when it's needed most. So out there doing the Lord's work, gentlemen.
Well, that's over with.